Voyage Institute, and they made history this past week, actually. Returning to the port of Honolulu on Tuesday, this voyage successfully removed 103 tons of fishing nets and consumer plastics from that nasty garbage patch. It's more than doubled its own record-setting results from a 25-day trip last year, where it recovered. It was during a 48-day expedition, and they recovered a little over 48 tons or something like that. But the group's founder and executive director, Mary Crowley, says that they're headed back to sea in about 2 days, which would be about today or tomorrow, to gather more of that trash. So they're just constantly on it. And the crew has been working hard, collecting more than 100 tons of toxic consumer plastic and nets. If you don't know, nets are a huge part of the garbage in the ocean. The group has renowned. The group is renowned. Geez, I can't even speak today. Renowned for developing effective methods to remove significant amounts of plastics out of the ocean, including 48 tons of plastics during 2 ocean cleanup voyages in 2019. So there you go. That's the number I was looking for. Their cargo ship has been using GPS satellite trackers since 2018 to help track the nets that they collect. And the Ocean Voyage Institute has uploaded a bunch of pictures showing all of the garbage that they pulled out of the ocean. And it's a pretty amazing sight to see. I'll definitely share it on my pages within the coming week. But the team is committed to 0% ending up in any landfill. 0% of the plastics and garbage that they pick up from the ocean ending up in any landfill, and is sending the sorted debris to recycling companies to be turned into insulation energy, which is a win-win. The vessel and crew have left the Hawaiian port of Hilo on May 4th after a 3-week self-imposed quarantine period to ensure the health of their crew members due to the pandemic. Now, the GPS tracking beacons we mentioned are being placed on fishing nets by volunteer yachts and ships, which is awesome that other people are getting involved. And the Ocean Voyage Institute is launching a second voyage that will depart in 2 days to continue the cleanup of the area. But for how long, that will be determined by the amount of donations and fundraising that they can get. Now, if you're interested in donating, you can donate to their site by PayPal or send in a check. And you can check on their website that I'll list in the show notes. The Ocean Voyage Institute has a goal to have another 3 to 4 boats working within the next year. So I think it's a pretty good goal for them. Over the long term, they are aiming to expand to other parts of the world, desperately needing cleaning up help so that abandoned fish nets will never again entangle or harm whale, dolphin, turtle, or reefs. So that's amazing. I wanted to share this story for obvious reasons, but mainly because there are other companies and organizations dedicated to cleaning our oceans, and they absolutely need to be highlighted much more than they're being right now, if at all. People can only tackle problems that they know about, and with today, the media, they cover a lot of political problems and divide our nation constantly by influencing people with their opinions, but we see it with the Black Lives Matter movement, as well as the banning of the Confederate flags and removing of statues. While all of these are problems in their individual right, for sure, I'm not downplaying that at all. No one problem outweighs the other, but this problem is a worldwide problem, and it needs to be addressed, and it needs the attention, a lot more attention than it's getting now. But luckily, we got people in these areas that are trying to be a part of the solution, and this is why I do this podcast. These are the types of people that need to be highlighted and need to be on the news, and people need to see that this stuff is going on. Not only for their sake, but because the more people know, the more people can get involved and help, and the quicker we can clean some of this crap up. So I hope I shined a little light and informed you on something you previously didn't know about, and gave you some positive outlook on some otherwise daunting information. So we're coming up to the end of the podcast now. Since we touched on tiny bit on the many problems that are plaguing our world, this week's Limelight PPDPT goes to Campaign Zero, because a lot of that momentum of the Black Lives Matter movement is kind of dwindled down somewhat in the media that I'm seeing, because it's been a few weeks now since George Floyd's untimely death. And I wanted to continue to share places and organizations that are working to help change things in a positive direction. Campaign Zero is an organization that utilizes research-based policy solutions to end police brutality in the U.S. U.S. Campaign Zero's mission is to call on local, state, and federal lawmakers to take immediate action to adopt data-driven policy solutions to end this violence and hold police accountable. Something I think we can all get on board with and understand why this needs to be a thing. Just a quick statistic: over 1,000 people are killed by police every year in America. That should never be. And this organization is just looking to drop that number, or at minimum hold the officers responsible for some of those deaths and bring them to justice. I've shared in our last podcast all of the laws that are changing and making their way through the offices to be passed as laws if they don't get stopped. And I'm not going to claim that I know all the answers or what we should be doing, because there is an obvious problem within our justice system. I'm just kind of trying to report and have everybody understand that it is a real thing. And if you refuse to believe that, you're just lying to yourself and being willfully ignorant. But anyway, if you'd like to donate or get involved with this organization, you can go to joincampaignzero.org or check out the links in this description of the show that I'll have listed there. So, just to recap, we touched on the creepy and unrelated fun fact about spiders and frogs. We discussed the environment and how both wolves and humans play a huge role and impact, both positive and negative, on the environment. And we discussed clean energy. And speaking of clean, we talked about how more organizations are coming together and trying to help clean and undo that huge garbage wasteland that we've collectively added to. So yeah, this was another great podcast that has helped me with a more positive outlook on life, in my opinion anyway, and I hope it did the same for you. So that's it for today. As always, I highly encourage you to check out the links in the show notes to give some insight on what I'm reading, so you can see the full picture, because I only kind of paint somewhat of a little piece of the picture. And so you guys can give me some feedback on what are the topics you're interested in listening about. So thanks to Audiograph again for supplying us with those tools to engage with our lovely listeners, you people. And be sure to visit theblockisback.org to help donate for the meals and that block to school drive that we're having at the end of August. If there's anything at all you want to talk to me about or let me know, get in touch with me by emailing me at limelight.highlight.com or any of our social media platforms on Facebook and IG at Limelight Highlight. Our Twitter handle is LLHighlight. And since you're already in the show notes, because I know that's where you're going to go participate in the polls, do me a favor while you're there, leave a rating, review, subscribe, share, and follow the podcast if you like to support. We are streaming everywhere, as I said before, that you can find podcasts, so no excuse not to tune in. But once again, be sure to participate in the next poll if you have any questions you'd like me to ask. In the upcoming interview, I'm really excited for this one. Tune in next week for more positive news and a great conversation where we dive into addiction and all the science behind it. I hope to hear from you soon. And until next time, be humble, be helpful, pay it forward, be the best you, and remember, it ain't all bad. Thanks for listening.